Alright everybody, how you doing? I know I says I would be back on Monday, but I just thought, fuck it, get back on the saddle, as they say. I feel strangely good today. I had a really good night last night. My pal came up and, well, a pal, and we just had a pure laugh, man. We had a few shandies. She's sound as fuck, man. Know what I mean? So just felt good to kind of have that cathartic conversation and talk about everything that had been going on and everything that's been bothering me, and it was really helpful. So I feel a lot better today. You just need to kind of pick up the pieces and just keep fucking soldiering on, innit? Know what I mean? But sometimes I do that. See if things all happen at once and get a bit too heavy, like I just shut off and um, just go into a wee bubble for a couple of weeks. But I had an amazing night. It was just I don't know how to kind of phrase it, man. We've all had good Friday nights, obviously. Fuck, man, I've had plenty of them growing up myself. Do you know what I mean? But when you get that bit older, it's you've got kids to look after and all this kind of stuff. So it's like your fucking priorities change in it. But it is what it is, man. I'm just really kind of feeling better. So onwards and upwards and all that shit. So thanks everybody. It was commenting yesterday. I seen there was comments and that, and I was replying to some of them, and then got kind of sidetracked. So go and like reply and uh, thank people and all that for being concerned. Like, I get why people like would be, because obviously I'm not really the type to kind of talk about things that are bothering me and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, it's good to talk about the past. It gets it off your chest, but um, it's good to just kind of like have a bit of company and that, and just talk about shit. You know what I mean? It's good to have like somebody that listens as well. Do you know what I mean? It really helps. But anyway, I thought I'd just jump on and do a video, right, about the case of Jeffrey Dahmer, right? Now, I know all yous must have heard of him, or if you're watching this, because actually, when I was a kid, my son's age actually, about maybe a wee bit older, I read a book called The Shrine of Jeffrey Dahmer, right? Now, this book was written by a guy called Brian Masters, who I don't know if any of you know, but he also wrote a book about a serial killer in Britain called Dennis Nilsen, right? Who is a very, if you look at the Dennis Nilsen case and the Jeffrey Dahmer case, there is so many similarities that if they were staying in the same place, you could think it was the same killer, apart from the kind of, well, a lot of Jeffrey Dahmer's victims were African American, but Dennis Nilsen's were all white, as far as I know. And the thing is with Dennis Nilsen, but he wasn't cannibalising them. He was just like destroying their bodies, right? But obviously, as you all know, for reading stuff, watching the telly, watching that Dahmer on Netflix, like he wasn't even buying food, like for the last couple of months, leading up to his arrest, right? But he actually committed his first known murder at the age of 18, right? Imagine committing a murder, right? I don't mean, obviously there's people in Scottish prisons who have committed murders, right? But what I mean by this is, he's a very rare in that regard, because he was fantasising about murder. Probably most of the people who'd committed murders in Scotland at the age of 18 probably done it like for drink and drugs, or like all this kind of stuff out of anger. It's not really so much that they want this what we call lust murder, like somebody who's killing for sexual gratification, man. They get a sexual excitement out of murdering somebody. Like, how does that even come about? How do you get sexual excitement out of the act of committing murder? That really, that I find that really interesting, man, because any human life that's taken suddenly is tragic, unless you're somebody like Peter Tobin. If like Peter Tobin get flung at a fucking 13-story window, who would give a fuck, really? Know what I mean? I wouldn't. I would fucking make sure he fucking he landed in the right, he landed in the concrete. Know what I'm talking about? You would. There's just some people. Excuse me. Just some people that should never have the right to walk amongst, like, I don't want to say civilised society, like I'm fucking civilised, you know what I mean? Like, I don't see myself that way as a civilised, well, I just see myself as just somebody that's a bit different, you know what I mean? But anyway, his first murder was the age of 18, right? He's driving down the highway, but he used to booze all the time, that Jeffrey Dahmer. He was boozing for a right young age, and I mean hammering balls of Jim Beam and all this shit. Going to school with like booze in his school bag and all that. And he's driving down the fucking highway, right? Because he stayed in rural Ohio when he was young, and he's seen this hitchhiker going to like fucking Woodstock or whatever it was, a music festival. And what I think triggered him was the guy had his shirt off. And leading up to this, he'd been fantasising about murdering a hitchhiker, or a jogger it was. In fact, it was a jogger. He'd seen this guy jogging, and he was sexually excited by him, fancied him, whatever you want to call it. Ended up one day went and got a baseball bat and waited on the route for him jogging. The guy didn't come past that day, lucky him. Fuck's sake. So he's picked this boy up, and went back to my house. We'll get a drink and all that. Went back, started drinking. I think they were smoking a bit of weed and all that. And then when the guy said he had to leave, he's been like, "No, you're not leaving, mate. You're staying with me." And he's coursed him with a dumbbell and killed him. Like, must have done him right in, right? Caved his nut in with this dumbbell, and he's actually dismembered. He's hid the body in the basement, dismembered it, stripped the flesh off the bones, smashed the bones up with a fucking mallet, and went out into the bounds of the property, because it was quite a nice, it's an affluent area, if you want to say that, because his dad had a good job. His dad was a really bright guy. His dad was a PhD chemist, man. Smart guy. And Dahmer's fucking spun in a circle, like a 360-degree circle, scattering these bones all over the woods, because there was like woods all over his property. As I say, it was a nice place. Don't know if I'd say that now, no, fucking probably haunted, innit? But I think for a while he was really, really conflicted about it. But you know what I've just remembered? I remembered a detail, see before he dismembered the bones. He was driving up the highway at like 3 in the morning with these fucking body parts in his back seat. This was this same guy. And he fucking got pulled over with a cop, and the cop looked in the back seat and says, "What's all that?" And he says, "Oh, I'm taking the rubbish to the dump. My mum and dad are having a divorce, and I just can't sleep." He's like, "Right, well, go back home, man. He's went back home and just fucking destroyed everything. Like, now you imagine what that cop must have felt when he realised he had crossed paths with one of the worst serial killers, right, known to fucking mankind, on his first murder. If he had a searched their bags, Jeffrey Dahmer wouldn't have been Jeffrey Dahmer. He'd have been fucking doing a life set. Well, he was 18 at the time. I don't know what the laws were like in the late 70s in America, well, in Ohio State, for a murder like that. But I would have thought that if he had discovered dismembered body parts, it's obviously going to aggravate the charge in it. It's not just a body in the boot. That's serious enough, obviously, but it's like, no, you've dismembered a fucking corpse. Are you fucking nuts? Like, do you know what I mean? That's a different category of killer to me. That's not just somebody that's killed somebody in a bar, or even fucking they've killed their wife or their girlfriend and try to hide the body in the cupboard. We're talking about fucking cutting up a body, man. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what? Gives you the fucking shivers. But so he's done that murder, and after the kind of panic subsided, he's realised, like, I'm away with this. And I imagine for somebody like him, this would only serve to cement the kind of fantasy cycle and that need, that itch to take another human life for his own pleasure. But and he didn't kill again, and so that was 1978, his first murder, when he was 18, right? And he didn't kill again. It's my lizard moving a bit. Didn't kill again until, I think it was like 1987. But in between that desistance period, if you want to call it that, he'd went to uni and got kicked out for drinking. He'd went to the army. He got a dishonourable discharge, but after all this came out about him, there was guys coming forward saying he'd raped him in the army, and I believe he was stationed in Germany at some point during the 80s, and there was some sort of unsolved cases there where the bodies were dismembered, but I don't know if it was anything to do with him. I think one of them was a woman, and he wasn't known to kill women. It doesn't mean he didn't do it, it just didn't fit the pattern. But who knows? She might have fucking walked in on him doing something, or he might have just thought, I need to take you out for whatever reason it was. I'm not saying it was or it wasn't, I don't really know that much about it. But once he left the army, he kind of started getting like kind of menial jobs and moved in with his gran, his dad's mum, right? And it was quite an affluent area, and he's been bringing fucking guys back, and because they were like a kind of like, they weren't like, I think being gay in their family was kind of frowned upon, if you get me, like, because they were church going people and all that kind of stuff. So kind of like, and he stole a mannequin and all that, and his gran made him throw it out, like, what you doing? He's humping a mannequin or something, know what I mean? Just fucking, guy's no right in the head, man. But he'd actually committed another, say, maybe 3 or 4 murders in his gran's house, because I think she was always kind of like up the stairs sleeping, and it's like she doesn't get up for anything sort of thing, but she was noticing strange smells coming out the basement and all that kind of shit. And I do believe there was one time where the dad actually says like he found it was a safe or something. There was a fucking guy's head in it, do you know what I mean? And he's like, what's in there and all that? And he's like, nothing, it's porn mags. Fuck me, you know what I mean? The lies, man, just roll off their tongue. And they're that convincing, some people are just that convincing at lying, man. You've met them yourself, probably. I have, you know what I mean? And it's like, you do kind of get sucked in, but there does come a point where the jigsaw starts to fit together, the picture becomes clearer. Like that wee piece of jigsaw on its own means nothing. It's only when you get all the pieces together that you see the bigger picture. But he's ended up being papped out, and I don't believe he was cannibalising at this point. So this is what we're seeing with the evolution of his kind of crime pattern is he's starting off murdering somebody, dismembering, then he's doing that. But then once he's got his own space, he started doing really dark shit because he's got all the time in the world, doesn't need to worry about his grand fucking walking in, he's fucking chopping somebody off at the fucking waist, whatever. So you would expect to see the kind of like the deviancy just getting fucking way out of control, man. And he would go to like shopping malls and just spot somebody and get that old line. Do you want to come back to take some photos? No good ever came for him to approaching you in a shopping mall and asking you to go home with him and you didn't know him. It's never happened to me, but straight away I'd be thinking this fool's a fucking maniac, or you know what I mean, want to try with my new handcuffs. You know what I mean, one of them ones. But there was one really just gut churning case in the Dahmer series where there was this Laotian boy, his name was Maniac, and he was 14-year-old, man, and that Dahmer had fucking got him to go back home with him, drugged him, fucking raped him, taking photos of him, but he drilled a fucking hole in this poor 14-year-old boy's skull and injected like a kind of diluted acid in it because he wanted to basically melt his fucking frontal lobe so as he couldn't think for himself. He just had this kind of pet zombie, I think he called it. But that just beggars belief, right? But the story actually gets worse. So Dahmer went out to go and buy more beer, right? And because I think it was a functioning alcoholic, to be honest with you. Fuck's sake, you'd need to be able to fucking put up with that shit in your head, man. And the wee boy's escaped out the apartment, but he's been walking down the street and there was like blood coming out his anus, and which is obviously a sign that something's happened to him. And they couldn't see the mark on his head because he had really thick black hair. But these three neighbourhood lasses, they met him and they just knew something was wrong and they were holding on to him. And they were like, what's happened? Phone the police and ambulance, not. But Dahmer's walked round the corner and seen him. And the wee guys just went, because he couldn't speak, right? And they thought they knew something's not right here, but that Dahmer's trying to grab onto him and say he's my boyfriend, he's with me, and they says they knew he was a child. And he's ended up putting the wee boy in, like, see, like a Phil Nelson and trying to march him right back home and all that. And see, when I read that, man, it just, oh Jesus, it felt so horrible for that wee boy, man. Do you know what I mean? Imagine that had happened to you, you couldn't speak or tell them day and you're out in the street, fucking naked, your arse is bleeding, you fucking get a hole drilled in your head, fucking acid cooking your brain, and he's trying to march you back up the fucking house. Oh, what, man? That is fucking blood curdling. If you ask me, man, I think they should have drilled his kneecaps, but that's just me, man. There's just he's no human. Do you know what I mean? But is what it is, innit? So the police have came, and that Dahmer's just fucking, he's in full fucking psycho mode. Like, I've been with him all day. He's drunk, and come on up my house and I'll show you photos of him. And he's showing him the photos of the boy, like posing for photos, which. See, when you look back, so the police have given him back to Dahmer and left, and Dahmer's obviously killed him. And these lassies were phoning the police saying, "Are you sure that wee boy was a wee boy?" And they're saying, "No, he was that guy's boyfriend, not." But what I kinda can't fault somebody for believing the lies of somebody like this, because they're masterful liars. They're masterful at it. But what I do fault them for is, why did you not do a background check on the cunt? Because see, if you did, it would have came back on your radio that Dahmer, had done a sentence for molesting the older brother of the boy who he knew had a hottie. Imagine that. They didn't even do a fucking background check on the radio. They just looked at all his documents and the photos he had, and they've just no took it any further. Now that's where they're at fault, because if I was a cop, I'm not going to lie, I would be, anybody I came across where there was a situation, would it not be standard to just run their fucking name through the computer? Obviously it would be. And that's one of the tragedies in that case. The amount of times they had to stop this fucking cretin and fucked it. They could have saved lives, not what I'm talking about. But just horrendous, man. But his killing spree, he was on probation, right? Dahmer was on probation for the molestation charge of this boy's brother. Say it was 2-year probation or something, and ended up, he's got to see his probation officer and everything's hunky-dory, all this fucking shit. And see, the best bit about it, see when the police went up to Dahmer's apartment to check out the boy whose skull had been drilled, there was a fucking dead body in a locked bedroom lying on a fucking mattress. Body parts in the fucking freezer, all this shit. Just mind-boggling, man. But his murders have just they've just started, like, it was going for like maybe one a month or whatever to like one a week, do you know what I mean? And the deck of cards was just fucking collapsing all around him, man. And what he's ended up doing was he's invited this guy back, the usual ruse, you back come back and take photos, all this piss, right? And he's been drunk and started fucking doing all this shit, swaying and all that, and putting on The Exorcist and watch this bit, know what I mean? Something like that, what? So he snapped a pair of handcuffs on the guy. And fucking, he's listening to his heartbeat and all that. He's lying tapping him saying, "Can I listen to your heartbeat?" and all that. Oh, what? And the guys, their struggles kinda kicked off. And he's cracked Dahmer and just ran out the house. And he's flagged down a police motor. And they've no had the key back, because it wasn't a police issue, fucking handcuffs, know what I mean? So they've said, "Where did you get these cuffs?" So he's went back to the apartment, right, with the cops. They're like, "Hi, can we come in?" Blah blah blah. But they went into the house, into one of them standing talking to him, and the other cop was walking about the house, looking about, right? And in one of the bedrooms, there was a chest of drawers, and the top drawer was open, and it was just hundreds of Polaroids, right? Bodies in different stages of dismemberment. So say it was me, I'd just be lying like that, and then it's like next thing my head's my throat's cut, or one of the photos I'd actually seen was gruesome. It was a black male lying, let's see, like, have you ever done bench press where it's like, it's a decline press? It was like the body was like on a decline bench, and it was fucking opened right up here, and the skin was just pulled right up, and you could see the guy's rib cage, man. Oh, what? So he's posing these bodies and all that, and taking pictures and all that shit, and fucking the coppers looked at him, he's picked him up, and he's done that. And he's done, here, come here and see this. The other coppers looked at him, and he's done that. These were taken in here, so then that means they know something's happened in this house, so they fucking rugby tackled him, took him in and all that. But see when they handcuffed him, one of the cops went and opened the fridge, and just screamed. In the fridge was, inside, see, like a cake box, was a fucking black guy's head with the two horns next to it and all that. So obviously the house has been sealed off and all this shit, and all the neighbours were coming down saying how there was all these smells and drilling in the middle of the night and all this pish, and they've just evacuated the building because there was all this acid and chemicals and hazardous. If it had a burst, man, it would have just fucking, it would have been trouble, big trouble, know what I mean? So they've found like bicep muscles, thigh muscles that he'd freezer bagged and all that, and the only like normal food he had in his house was bottles of steak sauce. You know what that was for, don't you? Season the meat, fuck's sake, know what I mean? And he was eating these body parts. There was human hearts, there was organs, all this shit. And they checked, he wasn't buying groceries, so what was he eating? He was eating it, know what I mean? And obviously he's a necrophiliac, so for any that don't know what that means, it means somebody who's turned on by death, somebody that's turned on. This is different for, a necrophiliac is different from what I said about like somebody that's turned on by murder. It's not the same thing, it's somebody that's sexually attracted to dead bodies. Know what I mean? Very, very, very rare specimen, man. Like, how do you become attracted sexually to a dead body? It gets fucking worse, doesn't it? But they've ended up taking all the shit in, obviously collecting all the evidence, but it's went to trial and fucking, I think they were trying to plead insanity. I think MD can do what he done, even if they're coming across as compos mentis, has to be insane. You have to be insane to eat fucking dead bodies and have sex with dead bodies and lie and hug them all night. And he was having sex with the viscera, like the internal organs, the intestines, like masturbating with them and all that. Just absolute fucking maniac. The word doesn't begin to cover it. But it was found guilty on everything, obviously. And if you watch any documentaries about him, you'll notice when he speaks, Jeffrey Dahmer, when he speaks, his tone is just dead. He's a pure monotone. His face is flat, there's no kind of expressions, there's just the guy's dead inside, man. Soulless. like fucking painting skulls and like chopping people's heads off and like boiling the flesh off and making like an altar full of skulls and all this shit, man. Just fucking what? But I was only a young boy when that case all happened. I was like about 9-year-old when he got caught, or 10 maybe. And the funny thing is, when he was sentenced to life in prison, he was actually beaten to death by a fellow inmate who it was actually a black guy, right? And see, the funny thing is, right, Dahmer was killed the same way he killed his first victim. His head was caved in with a dumbbell or something. So it just shows you, man, like fucking karma gets you, doesn't it? And that's the thing with the American prisons, man. Even fucking screws will kill you, you know what I mean? There's no like out here it's like, well, in Scotland at least, I don't know about England, man. But our screws no better, fuck's sake, man. I'm not saying it's never happened before. I've heard a lot of stories, obviously, like for certain guys who've done major time back in the 60s, the 70s, in the 80s and all that, and the screws were screws back then. They were just like cons with fucking uniforms and what I'm talking about. Just absolutely let on people, like, I mean, just breaking ribs and torturing you basically. They wouldn't get away with that now. They could maybe give you a tanking if you done something to one of them. Do you know what I mean? Which you kind of would expect. You're not going to do a screw and expect nothing to happen for it. Well, I wouldn't anyway. If I was going to do a screw in the jail, hypothetically, I would have already weighed up the option that I'm getting done in for this, but I would feel if I was going through with it, then it would be because doing you was worth more than the doing you're going to give me back for it. You know what I'm talking about? So you weigh up the consequences, innit? But their jails are different, the American jails. And that's what I want to start doing and all, see for my channel, see like doing talks on different prisons. Just talking to my pal who does like this kind of stuff, and he was mentioning it because I just sit and talking about true crime all the time because I don't really know what to say about my own life. Like, I know I done a video about like how I was in jail, but that was because I just assumed people knew. I just assumed people knew what I was in jail for because of watching the podcast that I had been on before I was kind of talking about all this shit. But I don't mind talking about it. It's just because I've spoke about it on other channels, it's like when I'm talking to the camera about it, it's different. It's like I don't know what to say for some reason. Just a bit fucking, just swings and roundabouts, innit? Whatever you want to call it. But I'm going to have to love yous and leave yous. My wee boy will be back soon. And I think I'm meant to be going to my cousin's for dinner. I really hope yous all have a good weekend and stay safe, be good, and just live your life and see if there's anything doing your nothing. Just move on for it, man. It's the best thing for it to move on. Do you know what I mean? There's no point in just sitting dwelling on shit all the time, man. But that's a good thing about me. Even though I do dwell on shit, right? But I always get through it, man. I just go, no what? Put that to bed, move on, fuck it. Do you know what I mean? So, is what it is, as I keep saying. But I don't know when I'll be back home, but I will be back on, obviously, soon. So, thanks for all yous guys listening and subbing and all that, and just being a positive fucking influence, even though you're just commenting and saying shit, man, you're still like, it is good to know people you don't even know are all saying good shit to you, you know what I mean? Like, because at the end of the day, like, sometimes I think, like, I'm not good enough for people to say shit like this to me, but at the end of the day, I'm not trying to be a good person. Even though I do believe you should still reap what you sow, you know what I mean? Like, if you're being a horrible person to people, then it's going to come back to you, do you know what I mean? And you just need to accept it, and take responsibility. But I'm not being a good person, even though sometimes it is fucking hard, man. But my son means the world to me, and I would never throw my life away just for that wee boy alone. Apart, if I never had him, there's no telling what I would be doing, and I really mean that. Or who. There's just sometimes, man. And do you know what? Sometimes I say that, right? But see, sometimes I go, I'd probably be fucking living somewhere where nobody knew me and just doing my own thing, meet a lassie, whatever. Do you know what I mean? But and settle down and all that. So who's to say I would be fucking still going about like that if I never had my kid? I don't know. But what I mean is, if I never had the responsibility of being a father, I would probably still have that old, you can get away with this, but you do sometimes, but it catches up to you. The house always wins, doesn't it? But as I say, thanks everybody for listening, commenting and being cool, and I'll leave you to it, and I really hope you have a good weekend. So take care, stay safe, bye.